We've been making single vineyard Gibson Vineyard Riesling since 2012, and I'm pretty sure that we've never made one that hasn't scored at least 90 points. And I think it's because this site is just so true to itself, and it's so typical for the best that the Finger Lakes has to offer. So it's about 10 minutes north of the winery, and it sits out on this little isthmus that juts into Seneca Lake. And the way it's positioned facing directly to the east, but you get this influence of air that flows over the vineyard. And because the lake is right here and there's a ridge, it comes up, you've got the vineyard planted. Right behind it is actually a rock quarry. And what I think happens with this rock quarry is when the weather changes and you've got different temperatures between the elevation and the lake itself. So generally in the winter, the lake will be warmer than the air, and in the summer, the lake will be cooler than the air. We get this convection current. So the air is constantly moving in the Gibson Vineyard. It's a great way that it naturally deals with excessive moisture on the berries or the leaves when we have particularly wet summers. It also helps to moderate the temperature of the vineyard and keep it a little bit more consistent. So it might be a little cooler than some of the surrounding areas when it's in the peak of summer because it's pulling some of that cool air off the lake. And in the winter, it's a bit more protected than other areas as well. I like to say that the Gibson Vineyard is our flesh because it is transparent. It's what you see. It's what you see is what you get. It's just true to the site in a way that not many other places that grow grapes always are. With that said, I tend to focus on producing the Gibson Vineyard Riesling in a very similar fashion. It's almost always going to be finished with between 15 and 20 grams of residual sugar. It almost always finishes right around 3.05 pH. And the acid is never something that's a dominant factor with this site. It's always just sort of in line, in balance. It's not one of these sites that's going to make 9 TA styles of Riesling. It's also not going to be flabby. So this one was finished right with 22 grams of residual sugar. It's a blend of a couple different Gibson Vineyard fermentations, but it's undeniably Gibson Vineyard Riesling. So on the nose, I get this classic Finger Lakes scent of kind of summer. There's hay, there are apple orchards, there's very light white flower. I'm thinking of everything from jasmine to gardenia to just assorted summer wildflowers. I'm getting a little bit of this juniper berry note to it as well. I've talked in the past about there's this eucalyptus juniper flavor that you can find in Gibson Vineyard. This particular vintage is not quite as strong as the really hot, droughty vintages we see, but it's sort of exactly what I wanted to see in this wine. On the palate, beautiful kind of golden apple, golden raisin, little bit of that lanolin, little bit of beeswax, a little bit of honey. The residual sugar it's up there. I wouldn't say this is it's not a dry wine. It's an off-dry to medium dry wine. It's certainly not sweet in terms of it being classified as a sweet wine. It's the sort of wine I like to pull out when I don't know what the folks who are around like to drink, and there's a big mix. So enjoy.